The dollar menu. Home to various shades of brown foods and drinks. A reliable go-to for fast, hot, and affordable chicken in its many unique forms. Though, why is it that these dollar menus, and most menus at fast food restaurants, lack vegetables, fruits, or even plant-based meats? After all, that dollar chicken sandwich came from a living being. How is it that an actual animal costs less than foods that grow from the ground? Why is it that chicken is so damn cheap? It's actually not that complicated of an answer, though it is one that the animal agriculture industry does not want you to know.
Let us then greet our first contestant. This is Colonel Sanders from Shelbyville, Kentucky.
The chicken of tomorrow.
For starters, let's look at the chicken itself. The US raises and slaughters 10 times more chickens than any other animal. How are they keeping down costs with so many beaks to feed? Especially when you consider that CAFOs, an industry term for factory farms, are the top consumer of US corn and soybeans. In short, the government subsidizes or helps pay for the production costs of GMO grain that is fed to chickens, resulting in extremely low prices. These programs save factory farms billions of dollars, at the same time costing US taxpayers billions of dollars. So how does that actually affect prices for consumers? Well, right now, in 2021, the average cost of chicken meat in the US is around $1.28 per pound. For reference, at the same time, non-organic Honeycrisp apples will run you $2.76 per pound on average. A pound of non-organic kale, $2.94. Conventional strawberries, $3.06 a pound. Ouch. One of the major differences between farming produce and farming chickens is the human labor that goes into it. In theory, each one of those strawberries has to be plucked from a plant by hand by a person. This is not so much the case with chickens. Just 2 workers can manage up to 200,000 chickens on one farm. This is because there is nothing natural about the lives of chickens in the animal agriculture industry. From birth to slaughter, their lives will be manipulated. At the hatchery, where they are born, they are sent down a conveyor belt to be injected or sprayed with drugs, dropped into transport crates, and sent off to the grow-out facility, where they will live the rest of their short lives. In these windowless sheds, they will never experience sunlight, outdoor access, or natural temperatures. They will never be able to properly sleep or dream, something they could do in a more natural environment. These factory farms are crowded beyond belief. In 2012, the average farm like this in California and Nebraska exceeded 500,000 birds. No fresh air, no sunlight, no space to live a natural life. This type of manufactured existence would surely stunt one's growth, right? Shockingly, no. Today, chickens raised for meat, dubbed broilers by the industry, grow larger and faster than ever before. How in the world is that possible? Well, broiler chickens have a predetermined lifespan on factory farms of just 47 days on average, making them babies in comparison to their natural lifespan of up to 10 years. Killing a baby chicken for meat when she's only 47 days old? How is that the standard? A few decades ago, it wasn't. Let's go back in time. In 1925, it took 112 days to raise a chicken to be 2.5 pounds. Today, chickens weigh double that in about half the time. Compared to the 1950s, chickens today will grow to be 4 times the size. Currently, factory-farmed chickens gain more than 1.8 ounces every day. Must be evolution? Not quite. With this rapid growth, chickens' immune systems, organs, and legs cannot keep up, meaning they suffer a range of physical problems, from lameness to heart conditions, which can lead to an early death. To put it into perspective, if humans grew at a similar rate of broiler chickens today, a 6-pound newborn baby would weigh 600 pounds after only 2 months. How the heck did we get here in less than 100 years? Could there have been a sinister competition decades ago that encouraged producers to manipulate a chicken's genetics to create a super breed of chickens capable of unnatural growth? Well, yes, actually.
The A&P food stores, the nation's largest poultry retailers, offered to sponsor a contest for the development of superior meat-type chickens. The chicken of tomorrow
In the 1940s, the Chicken of Tomorrow competition was started in the US, with the goal of creating a modified breed of chicken. A breed that could grow faster and larger, while adding weight in areas like the breast, considered more ideal for meat consumption. The nationwide contest was eventually won by Henry Saglio, a middle school dropout turned chicken breeder. Saglio would later go on to be known as the father of the poultry industry. Since his winning breed was introduced to the world, chickens raised for meat have never been the same. Today, Americans are eating the chicken of tomorrow. These chickens are still growing faster and larger because of Saglio and the results of the contest. Sure, this helps drive down the cost of production, labor, and ultimately makes for cheap meat, but it ends up costing the chickens, and all of us, in the end, a lot more. With such a staggering number of chickens being raised and killed in the US, over 9 billion annually to be precise, you may be scratching your head wondering, where are all of these farms? There's a reason most Americans don't ever see an industrial chicken farm, because you likely wouldn't want to eat chicken if you did. Those facilities that chickens live in are called CAFOs, Concentrated Animal Feeding Operations. These aren't the peaceful small farms you may see illustrated on a glossy package of meat. 99% of animals raised for food in the US live on CAFOs, aka factory farms. These factory farms are tucked away in rural areas of the country, much to the protest of the communities living there. Factory farmed animals are heavily concentrated in states such as North Carolina, Iowa, Illinois, Nebraska, and Kansas, where the number of animals often exceeds the number of people in the most heavily farmed counties. In North Carolina's Duplin and Sampson counties, nearly 82 million chickens and turkeys and 4 million pigs are packed into factory farms. In 2018, both counties tragically flooded during Hurricane Florence, covering the state in manure, contaminating the water supply, and posing a serious public health threat to residents nearby. The state spent $11 million disposing of some 3.4 million dead birds left behind by farmers to drown. It's clear to see that it's not just the animals who are suffering here. In North Carolina, residents in communities affected by factory farms have battled air and water pollution for decades. The concentrated placement of the state's pig factory farms has long been pointed to as environmental injustice, as many of the communities where industrial hog farms cluster are predominantly black and often poor.
They filed a complaint against DEQ alleging environmental racism by allowing farms to locate disproportionately near minority communities.
In a 2017 letter to the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency wrote that the External Civil Rights Compliance Office has deep concern about the possibility that African Americans, Latinos, and Native Americans have been subjected to discrimination as a result of North Carolina's Department of Environmental Quality's operation of the Swine Waste General Permit Program. North Carolina is currently not permitting the construction of any new pig CAFOs. However, the same cannot be said about chicken farms. In fact, there is no regulation at all regarding opening new chicken farms. What makes this worse is that they're being placed in communities that are already dealing with air and water quality issues from existing pig farms. Almost all of these chicken farmers are under contract from large corporations like Tyson. Most of the poultry industry operates largely with impunity, said Will Hendrick, staff attorney for Waterkeeper Alliance, in a statement. Unfortunately, there is a lot of geographic overlap of poultry and swine operations, particularly in the coastal plain. That means North Carolina's rivers, already choking on millions of gallons of pig manure, are now forced to cope with tons of chicken waste as well. The cost of the dollar menu chicken sandwich really starts to add up in these vulnerable communities. Getting all of those chickens from the concentrated factory farms to supermarket shelves isn't exactly a simple process. It's not a safe one either. Because chickens are, living beings, they have different shapes and sizes, making cutting and removing meat from them difficult, and something not able to be done by machines or robots. Humans need to be the ones slaughtering these birds. To keep up with the corporate demand, it also needs to be done quickly. There are many serious safety and health hazards in the poultry processing industry, including exposure to high noise levels, dangerous equipment, slippery floors, musculoskeletal disorders, and exposure to hazardous chemicals such as ammonia. Workers can also be exposed to biological hazards associated with handling live birds and exposure to poultry feces and dust, which can increase their risk for many diseases. The meat and poultry processing industry had the 8th highest number of severe injury reports of all industries in 2015. And in 2016, poultry processing alone had a higher rate of injury and illness than logging, coal mining, and oil and gas extraction, according to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Poultry processing in particular is the leading occupational cause of finger amputations in the US. Tragically, due to the common practice of working shoulder to shoulder while doing physical labor that results in heavy breathing, chicken processing plants became epicenters for COVID-19 outbreaks in 2020.
I'm going in there putting my life on the line just to make sure they get this chicken out.
For these workers, their worries are the most basic of all, for their safety and the safety of the families they come home to.
Thankfully, there are worker rights organizations, like Venceremos, whose mission is ensuring the human rights of poultry workers.
Poultry workers face horrible conditions every day. Many of them have injuries for life, carpal tunnel syndrome, amputations, respiratory problems. It's important that the people really understand the need of standing up with these workers under this circumstance, because a worker's health is public health.
It may feel overwhelming to think, how do we begin fixing such a broken industry? Well, we can start by addressing the problem at the source. The Better Chicken Commitment is the leading set of standards for broiler chicken welfare, driving the food industry towards higher welfare practices. These new standards will ensure companies will meet the rising expectations for animal welfare, sustainability, and food quality. And the truth is, you have the power to make an immediate impact today when you sit down for your next meal. Plant-based foods are having their moment right now. Vegan and vegetarian options are rapidly expanding at nationwide retailers, restaurants, and fast food chains. And plant-based chicken is revolutionizing the food industry.
Rebellious Foods is a food production and a production technology company working to make plant-based meat available and affordable for everyone. What we do at Rebellious Foods is make delicious, juicy, plant-based chicken products for a wide variety of customers. So we're working on various different forms of our products for fast food restaurants that are also racing to add plant-based meat to their menu.
So whether it's tried and true rice and beans or a vegan fried chicken sandwich, your appetite is covered. It's clear that nothing comes cheap in the animal agriculture industry, and we've only just scratched the surface. The chickens, the environment, and some of the most vulnerable communities are all footing the bill for those dollar menu deals. Let's start making compassionate choices today for a better tomorrow.